Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Check 1 2 1 2 check 1 2 1 2. All right. Check. Check 1 2. Oops. All right, now I think we got it. Streaming live right now. Let me check. 9 o'clock is the go time for the Wambulance. Let me run around. I'll kill the stream before we start and then restream it. Sign back on, just checking to see if audio works, etc., etc., etc. All right, looking good here. Let's do the chat. Sound check, sound check. S-O-U-N-D, sound check. Tommy, can you hear me? All right, we're taking side bets on today's meeting here, huh?
You rock me. You rock my world.
Oh, yeah. I rock you. I rock you.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Boom. Boom. All right. Okay, so let's run around atl-lincoln.com. atl-lincoln.com. Let's check. Are we Yep, looking good there. Looking good. All right, let's go to the Facebook platforms. It's on YouTube. ATL-Ruston YouTube. ATL-Ruston YouTube. This is all a process. Everybody, bear with me. Bringing you streaming live from Lincoln Parish. Oh, it's Micah's birthday. Let's see. Looks like that's coming through. Let me see. Check 1 2 1 2. is the, all right.
Play ball!
Play ball. Buddy Ball's coming up. Buddy Ball is going to be the 4 weeks in October. So we got Facebook there. Let's go to other profiles. And Rick's Mix Community Radio is one. See if we are. There we go. All right. Looking good, looking good. What do we got here?
Thanks for listening to Rick's Mix Community Radio.
Y'all stay safe, Shaq.
Y'all catching?
Help us help more. Please tell others about Rick's Mix Radio.
There you go.
Pay attention. That's a joke, son.
Okay. Let's see where else. Rick's Mix, Godly Works. Oh yeah, let's go to Godly Works. Sound check, Tommy. Tommy, can you hear me? Oh yeah, this is a pretty cool thing. I probably should play this. Yeah, let me. I think I can do that. Watch this. Make this a public service announcement for the Lincoln Parish Museum. It's a book signing. Book signing that will be happening. Christopher Kennedy. And here we go. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. Make sure I got my volume up. Oop. Echo. All right, so made this yesterday. Fly in.
The Lincoln Parish Museum cordially invites you to its first event in over 3 years. Friday, September 30th, 7 p.m. for a book signing by local author Christopher Kennedy. Christopher will give a short presentation on his first book, Louisiana Tech's Joe I.A., From an Orphan Train to the College Football Hall of Fame. Friday, September 30th, 7 p.m., admission free. Friend us up on Facebook, please. Lincoln Parish Museum.
3. Check. All right. Sounds like there's an echo coming through here. Let's try this.
I need to sit to that. I ask him, which side should I sit on? I don't want to be in a line of fire.
You need to get right there where the TV camera can see you. TV camera will be focused on you too.
We don't need that, do we?
Well, 2 minutes before the meeting starts, I'm getting up and moving right over there. Yeah, but it looks like we're going to wind it down. Start winding. They would get in the meeting. That's the Farm Fire Station while ago. Oh, we're still just ordering.
See right here. Y'all get this thing filed down and ready for the jury. Wouldn't it be best if we called the special police jury meeting just to have this done or not?
when it gets done,
You know, I know we have done that before. It's been a while, you know, but just something as important as this, and just have, I mean, this would basically be the only thing on the agenda.
yeah, we would sit that when it gets that point. Just on the time.
Well, it would depend on the time, but if we've got, you know, if we got the time and we've got, say, 2 or 3 weeks in there, let's just say, we could call, you know, a special meeting, maybe just for this, if that's a possibility, you know. And like you said, I think the timing on when they would all be ready for the jury would be the
Well, I don't want the jury to get it one day and have to vote the next.
No, I would say a week. We want time. I would say, you know, I say a week, I mean, 3 or 4 days minimum, probably, 5 days.
We'll just see what they get through here and see where we're going.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning, good morning.
You doing all right?
Good.
All right.
How you, Mr. Dirk?
All right.
Mr. Charlie? Is there gonna be somebody sitting? Lewis? He's probably already out.
I've seen him one. I did talk to him.
Hey, good. How you doing? Good. Hey, y'all. Yeah.
No,
I'm sitting in that.
driver's there.
I'm just sitting in.
I'm leaving this place.
Well, we go to talk about it.
There's just one requested copy. Requested copy. You've got to be
That's probably true. They probably got to get one, but that's all right. We can give it with the disclaimer.
That's right. And I think in that form, in the red that I put in there, which theirs is not in red, it's in black, because my printer was not red ink, so I had to make it black and out. But yours has probably got red.
I talked to Lewis about that disclaimer. He said, well, that's the reason he took it out before. He says, there's nothing in there that defines for cause.
And they
I said, well, Lewis, I said, in my opinion, that's a lawyer.
that's right.
The basic terms of service, that's the same. I said,
That's not.
what I want to do is try to get you 2 lawyers together.
That's right.
And let y'all work it out.
Yeah, that's not a shame, Richard. Charlie,
All right, sir.
we'll get it going.
All right, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you. I ain't so good. Can't complain.
I know that's good.
Don't listen to me anyway.
Nobody will listen. Don't y'all have something better than keep Frank I don't consider this part of his job. This is out of his line.
Well, Miss Wilson,
We don't have anything to vote on.
well,
I mean, she had asked me that we have a vote this week. As of the time that I made that agenda, we had absolutely nothing to vote on.
now we got we got to have time to look at it. You can't come in here and run and vote on something.
Not only do we have to look at it, we have to get vetted by the attorney.
And his assistant.
He talked to the assistant back there, and she called me. Yes, they ran and all this kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, that's an issue with poor people like that. See, that we talked about that possibility, and it did.
That's right.
Right, and it did.
You had a fire department subdivision. See, that road was cut off down there, and they couldn't get the fire station down there, so they had to go.
And then your next woods out there with that road situation.
Had to come on with them by it.
See, that road, that was the airport, that's blocked off, it's got those subdivisions. And I thought City of Russell was fine, because of that road being on, but I guess it's not.
It's got District 9 and a portion of District 10 in a catch. Because, again, that was on the utmost side of the district there. And we come to find out, we got
Well, what about out there shooting? Ain't they got a station out there? Shooting?
Shooter has to do it.
But it don't come outside shooting. Right? So
I don't know,
that would be the closest thing.
Yeah, but they don't, well, I don't know. I thought Ruston was called Ruston Mine. Got that road situation, but I guess they're not. But anyway.
Steve, how are you?
the closest one is over there on Science Road.
Charlie.
It's only about, it's only about seven
Right, I haven't been out there.
7 to 10 minutes to get started from there. I'm supposed to come from
Good morning, Miss Mullins.
How are you?
I'm good. What about yourself?
right now.
People are interested.
Kind of like the snow time, they don't, all of us.
90 degrees in here, everybody, the temperature will be up. Dr. White, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm good.
Good.
This is Shane's.
Miss Mullins, if you'll grab that proposal off the end.
Comes up and doesn't.
Yes. Morning, well, according to that clock. Well, you are a lot better looking.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
A lot better. You see right there beside me?
You get the paperwork all over there.
Yeah. Yeah. What I did?
We didn't include any.
Oh, what's your name? All right, I got somebody about, I think she had stolen a 3-pack from the restaurant. Yeah. I'll be on.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Never mind. If he could, he would.
Good to see you. I'm doing great.
I know, right? Good to see you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this thing is going to fire off, and a big crowd once again, so when people want to get involved, they get involved. Mayor Ronnie Walker just walked in, no pun intended. Time-wise is 8:58, so let's check and see what we got here. Run around the room again. Is that working? Sure enough, looking good, looking good. All right. I think we could be getting going shortly.
Even if it's just for that.
Ooh, let's eavesdrop, shall we?
To fill in for this meeting. We're not gonna hold anything. Okay, we'll hit him on that. Except to approve the agenda. Yeah, right. And I'll see if they both fall.
Reggie had requested last week. We not have the mountain paperwork right up there. Paperwork over there. That you go sit up there. That's where we thought. We know where you're going to sit. Yeah, you get all that. And like I told Bill, I'm sorry I didn't put any colors and coloring. Looks like it, doesn't it?
Think we're fixing to start. Hello.
Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. We'll convene this meeting of the Ambulance Service Committee. I would like to ask Mr. Glenn Scriber if he would invocate us, please.
Be happy to. Bow your heads while I pray, please. Lord, we come to you this day, and we come to you just thanking you for all that you've done for each and every one of us as we enter into a time of discussion with the Ambulance Committee. We just pray that each and every person will have clear hearts, clear minds on everything that is said and discussed. Pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay. We will have roll call. Strotter. Here. Bill Sanderson. Here. Mona Wilson.
Here.
Jackie White.
Here.
Reggie Skanes is not here. Walter Carpenter is not here. Mike Rainwater is here. Milton Melton. Here. Richard I.A. Richard Durrett. Here. Stephen Yike. Here. And Tommy Clark is not here. We do have a quorum, even though we are missing 4 people. Now, you have your agendas. We need to call for an approval of this agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as offered.
I second the motion.
Motion been made by Mr. Sanderson, seconded by all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comment regarding the agenda items. Any public comment? None heard, we'll move on. Approval of the minutes from the September 8th meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
It has been, motion was made by Mr. Melton, seconded by Ms. Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, next, receive and discuss the proposal from Ruston Fire. Chief Lawman.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Anybody need a copy?
Appreciated by me, I'm not.
So it's, got that to y'all yesterday. Apologize, trying to add some things that had been requested. But, you'd like me to run through it, Mr. Charlie, first, and then y'all can ask questions?
Please do.
All right, sir. Obviously, the first part of the agreement is just simply clarifying the, where we stand today. And, started with a, let me clarify one thing. Statement was made Tuesday night. In the committee meeting, it was stated that Ruston requested to turn in a proposal. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Citizens of the parish, police jury members, and this committee requested Ruston turn in a proposal. And we're more than happy to do that. We need to turn in one, but I want to make sure we're on the same page on that. Yes.
Clark just came in, you don't give him a copy.
You do that? You sure?
Oh, you need it, go ahead.
Oh, with that said, the first part of the legal, but the 92 agreement, did anybody know what was supposed to be paid in the 92 agreement? $5,000 a month. 1992 is what was supposed to be paid. And then we went to another agreement, and I believe it was 2000, it dropped to 25. So all the way back in 92, it was supposed to be $5,000 a month. So anyway, the first part of this is just legal. The number 2 talks about the current agreement. Number 3 is the term of the current agreement. And number 4 talk about what we were trying to do this year. So now the meat of this agreement would be a 5-year agreement for the amount we discussed earlier in the year, $645,604. Even though the city of Ruston given 3% raises October 1st, cost of that rescue truck has increased. We felt it was due diligence on our behalf to not change the same number we offered earlier in the year. That would be a 5-year agreement. That is simply because we're looking at hiring additional personnel, buying equipment, and you cannot do those things from a business point of view on an annual, year-to-year agreement. The cost would increase on top of page 3 by the Consumer Price Index for urban consumers, Southwest region. That way, we're not setting an adjustment on the price. The jury's not setting an adjustment. That is a cost of inflation set by the federal government.
Any idea what that's run over the last few years?
It has been, for the last several years, it was 1 point something. This year, it's running about 8. But it is, most good years, it has been less than 2% for the last several years.
Okay, thank you.
But it is up to, I believe, 8 this year.
Thank you.
But this will not kick in until after the initial year.
Right.
Second part of that page obviously talks about in the event we were unavailable, we would use mutual aid agreements. Let me clarify something right now. Myself, Shane, and Chief Reynolds have an excellent working relationship. Mr. Charlie echoed this. Have an excellent working relationship. That's not going to change. We're not going to allow this committee or any governing body, city or parish to cause a problem with that. We will always have a relationship. And so that will be in place no matter what direction we wind up going. So this next part. Parties agree to charges for ambulance service provided by the city will be billed only at applicable government and or commercial insurance for parish residents. Parish residents will only be liable for the amounts paid by government or commercial insurers, including Medicare or Medicaid. We're going to bill any parish resident. We're going to bill their Medicare and Medicaid, their private insurance, and that's what we're going to collect. They will not receive a bill over and above that amount. Any questions?
And if uninsured?
Uninsured, we won't get anything.
So can you tell me about what the average for Medicaid people that the insurance pays? And or Medicare?
In my 42 stacks of papers, I hope I didn't leave that one. It's 3-something for Medicaid, and it's a little over $400, and about $8 a mile for Medicare. Shane, do you know off the top of your head?
I think it's Medicare is $436 and $812 a mile.
Yeah.
And then Medicaid is
370.
Yep.
370 something.
372, I think, and then $812 a mile.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Ms. Moore?
Yes, thank you.
The bottom of number 3. The city reserves the right to bill commercial insurance for parish residents for rescue services. We do not do that now. I do not anticipate us jumping into that in the next several years, but that is becoming a standard you're seeing across the nation. Sort of like hazard material, where you bill the hazard material company if there's a wreck. The cost of the cleanup is billed to the hazard material company. You're starting to see this starting to happen in the rescue business. We go to a wreck, there's a long extrication, a lot of equipment is used. We're going to start to see a trend in where you bill the insurance company. But we clarified in here, in that event, parish residents will only be liable for the amounts paid by their commercial insurance. So the resident will never be billed again. We may bill their insurance company if we even get to that point. But as Mr. Jones said, if it's not in here, you can't do it.
So are you saying currently, if someone has a wreck on the highway and you go to it, you don't bill anyone?
We will bill them for if we transport them in ambulance, but there is no billing. If we're there for hours doing extrication, there is no one bill for that.
Okay.
Top of page 4, city reserves the right to provide requested on-site standby emergency medical service equipment for scheduled events in Lincoln Parish at agreed hourly rate. The biggest need for this has been rodeos. Rodeos, we have staffed ambulance out there Friday night, all day Saturday and Sunday for $0. And that's all of that is at a increased cost to the city. So those would be the events. Events that the city approves, so I will give you an example. Mr. Straw's not here, but the police jury event held in the spring out at the park, with us having this agreement, we would cover that. So this would be more private events where someone's making a profit, those type of events where they request an ambulance.
Question. Local athletic events. Who covers that?
So, let's use football games. Right now, for my entire career, for the last 40 years, we have never been paid for football games. We are currently negotiating with the school board to try to correct that. Security officers at football games get paid $45 an hour, but they have not paid for an ambulance. So to answer your question, we are providing ambulance to varsity football games. This year, the city is paying those members that $45 an hour. We're hoping to work something out in the future. But currently, right now, we are doing that at the city's expense.
So what about the colleges? Who does that?
Pafford has an agreement with both of our colleges, and they handle that. That is, Mr. Shane can speak to that. I have no idea on those issues. Any other questions on that? So
One
basically,
question.
yes.
And I think I know the answer already. In the event of fire, sometimes we have a fire that's a cooker, a big one, say at an industrial plant, or even a huge house fire on a real hot day.
Okay.
It's real nice to have an ambulance there.
Yes, sir.
You may not need it, but it's nice to have it, and sometimes even useful for rehab.
Yes.
Would that be available
For the parish,
for the parish?
we have done that numerous times.
I just want to clear that up.
Yes, sir. We have done that numerous times, if the need was there.
So that doesn't change?
No, sir.
Okay.
No,
Thank you.
sir. Again, my and Chief Reynolds' relationship and Shane's are top-notch. None of those relationships will change.
I understand that too, and I very much appreciate that.
So basically, for the legal part of it, it goes, now it basically clarifies what we've already talked about. Number one, on page 4 is the amount. 1.1 is the increase consumer price index. 1.2 talks about, so here's what we need to discuss. 1.2 at the bottom of page 4. If the jury desires another entity to provide rescue services in Lincoln Parish during the terms of this agreement, then the police jury shall provide written notice to the city at least 90 days. That's just to let us know, so everybody can prepare that we will. And during this agreement, the city will have no further obligations after December 31st. The city will continue to provide the emergency medical services to the parish at a base amount adjusted by the CPU, and that amount will be reduced to $100,000 if we don't run the rescue. So if somewhere in this 5 years, if the goal, and I still believe the goal should be, if Lincoln Parish Fire is ready to take over the rescue, our payments would be reduced by $100,000.
So your ambulance component is $545,000 plus CPI increase.
Yes.
The term in this section, it discusses a 5-year term.
Yes.
On page 2, I guess it is, the city reserves the right, let me see, no, that's not it.
It can be extended by mutual agreement.
Yeah, may extend this agreement by mutual agreement.
Mutual agreement. So if we do a 5-year term, 5 years from now, if the jury and the city is all good, it can be easily extended another 5 years without hopefully going back through what we have been through in 22. That answer your question, Mr. Aye?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
So back to the rescue. So
Yes, sir.
If the parish does rescue, you still got the mutual aid.
Yes, absolutely. If the parish, 3 years from now, decides to go on rescue, mutual aid will still exist 100%. Yes, sir. I am not here to tell you that Ruston is the fail-off for any incident that could happen in Lincoln Parish and City of Ruston. We've proven that through tornadoes and different events. It takes all to make this thing work. So,
Am I correct on the rescue, the way it's operating today, is that when you go to a rescue event, if you need water or water standby, the parish furnishes that at the present time on standby basis, right?
you're talking about for fire purposes, water, fire protection? Yeah, they are the fire protection for the parish.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But that's a separate item, fire protection and the rescue component.
I understand, but it's part of rescue.
No, sir, it's not part of rescue, it's
No.
part of the fire service.
Yes. They are the fire protection, so that's if you need water, that would be them. 1.3 clarifies 5-year agreement. On page 5, number 2, just clarifies that if in the event nobody's available, we're going to use mutual aid just as any organization would. 3, nails down the time length for the agreement. Number 4 talks about we're not going to bill anybody above Medicare, Medicaid, and their insurance. Number 5 talks about we have the right, if we get into billing for rescue at some point in the future, we have the right to do that, but we will never bill the citizen. And number 6 talks about standby at sponsored events. Questions? It's pretty straightforward.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Set aside the 1-year deal that we have for this year. If the police jury adopts this, is it really basically the same thing that's been done for the last 30 years, just at a different cost?
Really, basically, the last thing been done for the last 48 years at a different cost.
I mean, I know we put it in writing, and some of us have probably, most of us have probably never seen the other agreements, if there even were any, but yeah, it's the same thing we've had, just.
Nothing changes except the cost.
Okay.
We're sitting here today, the system, the provider was not the question, was not broken. It is the funding mechanism that was broken.
Right.
The funding mechanism was not put in place years ago to keep up with the time. The provider was not broken. That is not why we're here today. And everybody has freely admitted that.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I do think one thing that'll change though is staffing. And is that one of the reasons that we went back to the cost of it is because of the amount of staff that we need?
Our call volume has increased over 100 calls a year since 17, actually before that, but I'll just start with 17. And in the last 2 years, they have jumped 500 calls a year. So our staffing has not changed. And so we must add staffing. But to add staffing, you got to have, no different than any other organization, got to have money. So we're looking at starting right off the bat with adding 2 per shift, and I see that growing probably annual or biannually. We'll probably continue to add people. If the call volume keeps increasing at the rate it is, that will be every year or 2 you'll have to add some staffing. But we are currently supposed to be staffed at 16. We are at 14 today. We got 5 in Recruit Academy. So. But out of the 46 current members of Ruston Fire Department, 31 are paramedics. You do not promote above the rank of driver without being a paramedic at the Ruston Fire Department. So everybody there, if they stay there, they become a paramedic. So that's who you're getting to respond. There is no who wants to be a paramedic. If you're going to have a career there, that's what you go and do.
So it's finding personnel. Everywhere you look, people are looking for help.
Yes,
How difficult is it to find the type personnel that would be required?
Same issue everybody's having hiring. It is very difficult. For us, of the 5 that's at school now, we started with, and I don't have an exact number, I won't say 18 candidates. It's difficult. It amazes me how many young 18 to 25-year-olds cannot run a mile and a half in 16 minutes. They can't pass the physical portion. Unfortunately, some can't pass the background or the drug screen portion. It's difficult. The fire service is no different. Everybody's looking for good employees. I will give you on a larger scale. Shreveport Fire used to get close to 300 applicants every time they hired. They had 60 or 70 something this past round. And out of that, they were trying to get 50. I think they got 30 something. It's a struggle for everyone. So hiring 2 more per shift is not a flip of a switch.
Right.
We recruit all year round to try to hire. It's a constant to try to hire people. And we even have to hire people. The academy may not start for 2 months, but we will hire and just let them work around the station because you don't want to risk losing them somewhere else.
I was going to ask that. From the time you hire someone, how long does it take for them to be adequately trained and ready?
So we are using a new academy, so it sped that up. So we had some start the day after Labor Day last week, started September the 6th. They will graduate. They are in EMT school today. They will finish that, then they will go straight into Fire Academy, and they should graduate December the 15th. Should be EMTs and ready to respond. Yeah.
3 months.
Now, that's no paramedic. That's nothing on top of that. That's just basic recruit, some very basic stuff.
So those number of calls for from 100 approximately to 500, is that strictly parish calls?
No, that's our entire call volume. That
I
is,
understand this month it's way up.
yes, sir.
What's your call volume to this month to date, do you know?
I do not know. David, probably. Do you know, David?
Give me 1 second, Chief.
He will have it for you there in just a second.
So we're only looking at parish issues.
Mhm.
How has the call volume increased strictly for parish?
I would have to break that down for you, but here's the thing, for us, it doesn't matter. It's like the word dedication gets thrown around a lot. What's dedicated here, what's dedicated? We're dedicated to 911.
I agree.
That's it. Don't matter where it comes from, we handle calls as they come in. There is no dedication to anything other than 911. So to answer your question, for me as the chief, it is strictly based on the whole piece of the pie. So
But
we have to cover them
we're
all.
only here to
Yes,
try
ma'am.
to pay for the parish portion.
Yes, ma'am.
Not the city portion,
I
so that's
understand.
why I kind of.
But the manpower cover both, the trucks cover both, everything covers both ways. There's nothing dedicated one way or the other. But I can get you some better numbers if you would like.
Chief, we're running 248 a month.
248 so far in September.
It's only the middle of the month.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question on page 2?
Yes, sir.
The whereas, first whereas about middle way
Yeah,
down.
they're everywhere. Yes, sir.
First one on page 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, about halfway down after you can put the date, you say all conditioned upon staffing and apparatus availability.
Yes,
Can you
sir.
explain that?
That is just simple facts. If we have a huge incident, mass casualty incident, Mr. Charlie said, we may have multiple things. We have a tornado. There's only so many people can cover so many bases. So it's just that simple. We'll cover every base till there's nobody left. And that includes me. If it's during the day, I'll be the last one on the truck. But when there's nobody left, no different than any other emergency agency, you have to start relying on mutual aid.
Well, more specifically, what I'm asking, if you have a major fire in Ruston
Yes, sir.
and all your staff are there, then what happens if you get an ambulance call out in the parish?
Mutual aid. Right now, today, I would call Pafford.
And y'all would make that call?
Sir?
Y'all would make that call?
The ambulance call, if there's nobody left, we'd call Pafford. But here's what happened on most house fires, and we had, the last one we had, I can tell you what happened. 2 guys stripped their bunker gear off, they soaking wet, and got in that ambulance and made that call. That's what happened. But if there's nobody left, honest truth, we will call Pafford. Same thing that they do when there's nobody left for them, they call us.
And the we, you're talking about the fire department, not the sheriff's office, not you say, sorry, we're all tied up, sheriff's office,
No.
y'all go get somebody else.
No.
Y'all find somebody.
We will call dispatch and say, see if Pafford has a truck about. That happens now. When I say now, if there's a call coming in right now, 151 Chocolate Factory Road, they're going to have dispatch call Pafford and see if their Arcadia truck's in-house. Common sense. No different than Jackson Parish Ambulance calls us if they have a call right out here on 146, outside the city limits, right on the edge of Jackson Parish. We can get there so much quicker than they can from Jonesboro. They call us. That happens around us today. The only place we don't really have that relationship would be our east border over there. But with Pafford and Jackson Parish, those relationships exist today.
What do you mean by the east? You don't have that relationship with east?
Acadian never calls us, and we have not rolled them a call. We use their helicopter, but they don't call us for any assistance.
So when is too much too much? In other words, I'm assuming fire district and y'all all talk, y'all get the same calls basically, and someone decides who's gonna go on an emergency call?
No,
But there-
if it's a 911 EMS call to rescue, it comes to us.
Okay, so this past week there was an accident, 2-car vehicle accident, and I passed 2 fire district trucks and a Ruston EMS truck. So why do they need 3?
The district chose to respond.
On a lot of the accidents that have worked, I can't speak for the northern part, I can for the I-20 corridor, and you will have a major MVA there. When that goes out, you may have, around the wrist areas, you may have Shooter having the rescue there, Ruston having a rescue there, and the parish having responded to truck as well, and all working together performing the rescue.
In a way, in a perfect world, the parish ran rescue, they would be doing first response. In a perfect world, just reality, they may be already in Dubach area. They may get there 5 minutes, 8 minutes quicker than Ruston Fire. So that would be in a perfect world. Right now, there is no, we are the 911 call. The parish chooses to go on the calls that go on. But we do have that relationship. If we are unavailable, we will automatically call them. If it's in the shooting area, we will call shooter. Grambling Fire responds to all EMS calls in the Grambling city limits. So that's what happens there.
I just know when there's a fire, every citizen that sees the smoke wants to go by and see.
They do.
And, you know, when there's something major going on, the police department, all the officers want to go because they want a hand in it. It just looked like to me the EMS service was over-provided.
In the case of that one you're talking about, we were there for fire protection because there's a major accident, there's a higher potential for fire, and also to assist with the education of the patient treatment.
But many times, so in the city, what Chief Reynolds referred to, in the city of Ruston, we roll engine to all MVAs because you never know when something may spark, fire, or fuel spill. So they will, most of those major wrecks, they roll to in the parish, but they are for the fire protection piece of it. But they are available to do EMS, and they are able to assist with education. So.
Precautionary measure is the bottom line here. We don't own a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot better to have too much than it is not enough.
That's right.
Other questions?
Anybody got anything else? Dr. White, any questions? Mr. Sanderson? Chief Clark?
Probably do me last night.
Mr. Edwards?
What we'll do is, I'll let the committee cogitate on this for the week, or until the next meeting. We will hand a copy to Mr. Jones so he can go through it, because nothing happens until the lawyer vets.
I understand. That's why I was a little bit late getting it to you yesterday.
I figured that's what was going on.
Yes.
Nothing happens until the lawyer vets.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll try to move forward with that. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief. And Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Davison, you're up.
Good morning.
Good morning. I only made 12 copies of this proposal. I didn't know I was going to need to pass them out to everybody, but does everybody here on the committee have a copy? Everybody? Short one?
I've got one. You got time?
Okay. Because I need an extra. Okay. I want to start by kind of echoing what Chief Womack said. You know, for 24 years, we've had an excellent relationship, and it's even gotten better over the years with both fire departments and Pafford EMS. I mean, we mutual aid, we help each other every day. I mean, I look at those reports every single day to see if we had to use mutual aid. They use us, we use them. I mean, Lincoln Parish is really fortunate to have two ambulance providers in the same parish. That is not common. We've got a really good thing going here. And I'm not a resident of Lincoln Parish, so I'm on the outside looking in. Things are really good here. I mean, they really are. So, but if you'll look at the first, we'll just start at number one. Some of the top we can kind of skip over. Number one just said we're being referred to as Pafford. We're asking for an exclusive contract in accordance with the proposal and agreements herein set forth, and said corporation will duly perform all obligations required of it hereunder. Pafford shall be the sole provider of emergency ambulance service in Lincoln Parish with the exclusion of the city of Ruston. Lincoln Parish, on its part, hereby certifies that all necessary Orders have been or will be made and entered in order to effectuate and make this agreement valid insofar as the parish is concerned. Number 2 discusses the term. The term, there had been some questions about, whether they wanted to, everybody wanted to enter into a 5-year agreement with a private entity. So we revised our contract to be a 1-year contract with the option to renew annually for a 5-year period. So we thought that may be more attractive. You're not locked into Pafford for 5 consecutive years.
So is there an escalation clause in that?
On the money or the time?
The money.
There's no escalation. No increase annually for CPI or inflation. Number 3 just talks about how we're structured. Greg Pafford is the president and CEO and is responsible for the operation of the ambulance service. Most everybody probably knows Greg. I don't know. He's been in Lincoln Parish for a long time. Number 4, Pafford will participate in all overall city, parish, and area-wide communication plans. Pafford will maintain mutual aid agreements already in place with surrounding agencies, not limited to Ruston Fire and other agencies in surrounding parishes. So we border Union Parish, we border Bienville, and Union. So we have mutual aid agreements with all of those, and we actually have ambulances in all of those places as well. Number 5, Pafford will provide ambulance service within the boundaries of Lincoln Parish to and from appropriate destination as the need arises, and will not discriminate against any person, firm, or corporation by favoring others. Each call will be answered regardless of the person's ability to pay, and service will be provided to the nearest, most appropriate healthcare facility or to the facility of a patient's choice where appropriate pursuant to state-approved protocols. We always take the patient where they want to go, unless we need to take them to another appropriate facility. If we had someone with a head injury and Lincoln General didn't have a neurologist, we would probably, if that patient was stable enough, we would go to Shreveport or Monroe. So we're going to go to the closest appropriate, if necessary, or the facility of their choice. The problem that we're running into now, and I don't know if Chief Womack has got the same problem, but you've got a lot of people, there's just a citywide shortage of beds. I mean, it's due to the nursing shortage, a lot of different factors. We're seeing a trend of patients that are going farther and farther away. We're having to take people to Covington, New Orleans. I mean, and what that does, we've put up another unit right here in Ruston because of that. It takes our units out of service for so long, going like from Lincoln General to Covington. I mean, that's a long trip. Your truck's gone for 12 hours, really. So we've had to put up another truck to mitigate that, to ensure that we have coverage in Lincoln Parish and the surrounding areas. So I didn't know if everybody knew that. And it's just a citywide shortage of beds. There's just nowhere for these people to go. We can take to a hospital sometimes. We may go to LSU, and we call it being on the wall. You may sit on the wall for 2 or 3 hours over there, just sitting there with the patient on your stretcher, not able to offload because they don't have anywhere to put them. There's no ICU beds or what have you, and that takes a truck out of the system. So we've had to combat that for the past probably 6 or 8 months. It seems to be getting worse. Number 6, Pafford will offer annual memberships equal or equivalent to standard ambulance memberships currently in place by Pafford in areas of comparable population, geographical, and annual call volume to the residents residing within Lincoln Parish to assist offsetting the cost of ambulance service to individual members at the cost of $60 per year.
Does that include helicopter?
It does. It's air and ground. And it's not specific in here, but we can revise this. It says at the cost $60 per year. That's $60 per year per household. So I need to add the per household to that. It's not an individual. It's not $60 individually. It's per household.
If someone gets it in the family, there's 6 in the family, it covers all 6.
Correct. Per household. Number 7, Pafford shall be solely responsible for billing, charging, and collecting all fees and charges for the provision of ambulance services, and shall receive and retain all fees and charges as described herein. We have to bill patients. It's against the law for a private entity. I don't know about a municipality, but we have to, if we bill Medicare and Medicaid and they don't pay, we have to send them a bill. We can't not bill. Now, Pafford, historically, we do not aggressively pursue somebody for an ambulance bill. They can't pay, they can't pay. We're not going to go seize their vehicles or make them liquidate assets to pay us. We just don't do that. We're going to do the right thing. So are there any questions about that? I know it's kind of a...
No, but I appreciate you bringing it up and being honest, because that is a huge difference between the cost
Yes.
of Pafford's bill and the cost of the Ruston Fire.
Right.
Is that Ruston Fire does not send any of our parishioners a bill after it happens. And we don't want people to be scared to call an ambulance because they can't pay.
Right.
And I totally have no doubt that they don't aggressively pursue it, but it's still a bill that these people get, and they don't want to have these bills, and it's huge. And so there's a lot of people that worry about a bill when they're thinking about calling 911, or it's going to change and it worries them. And it's huge because we see it at the hospital happen all the time.
Right.
They're scared to come to the ER and they want to leave when we tell them what we have to do.
Right.
So,
and that is the reason that we do the memberships. We'll always offer the memberships. If you were to give this contract to us today, we would do a major membership drive. We don't want people to have any out-of-pocket expense. I mean, just like Dr. White said, we surely don't want to, we don't want people to feel like they can't call because they don't have the ability to pay. I mean, we can't even go there. If they,
y'all use a collection agency?
Not to my knowledge, we do not.
So, but it does affect their credit if they don't pay.
Not if we don't turn them over to the credit bureau. If we were to turn them over to collections, then it might affect their credit score, but.
Y'all don't push for
No.
payment. It doesn't come.
Okay, number 8, Pafford will provide and maintain one fully equipped and licensed ALS ambulance for use by Pafford, which complies with the requirements of the Louisiana State Department of Health and State of Louisiana, in addition to the Pafford resource and other assets already in place in Lincoln Parish. Pafford will provide staffing for one ALS ambulance 24 hours per day, a day, 7 days per week. Pafford will provide a spare ambulance for use when one of the frontline ambulances is out of service for maintenance. Ambulance staffing will include at least one ERMT paramedic, ambulance to be based and physically located in Lincoln Parish. If that ambulance is dispatched, Pafford agrees that another ALS ambulance will be placed on standby in Lincoln Parish. So this is a big part of our posting plan. We are a very large company, so we do post moves. Our ambulances are constantly moving throughout the day to ensure that we have optimum coverage and that our response times are low. So that's why we have to move them. We have certain places we put them. Ruston is a really good place to run an ambulance service because it's not just huge. Everything is pretty centrally located, and we have a station right there on Commerce behind the Ford dealership, which is very centrally located. We can get in, on and off the interstate really quick there, so it's a really good, we're in a good location there.
The ambulances typically are at that location during the day or from time to time.
Right.
How many?
Oh, how many? 3.5. We have three 24 hours a day, and then we have one daylight truck.
That's manned. Now, I asked you the question the other day because I went by there and counted how many ambulances were on the yard and how many ambulances are, and that's not counting the ones that are out working and being manned.
Correct.
How many ambulances are sitting there ready to roll?
No, that's including all the staff.
Right.
Staff.
But what I'm trying to point out is their maintenance facilities here, they have additional ambulances sitting there parked, rigged out, ready to roll if they were needed to replace one, or, had a maintenance problem, or if you had some kind of mass event.
Yeah, we did have other ambulances on the lot that are stocked, ready to go, licensed. We have extra units. And the reason we have that are, like you said, Mr. Charlie, the mechanical issues, if we have one to go down, we've got a spare. We also use those units. We have 3 paramedics and probably 2 basic EMTs that work in our office. So if we got busy during the day and we needed to build 1, 2, 3 trucks, we have the ability to do that, and those are the units that they get in. We always have a staffed licensed unit sitting there ready for those guys. We also have 2 sprint vehicles that we utilize.
So what location in the parish have y'all considered?
We haven't determined that yet. I'm going to have to get with, probably Mike, I'd have to get with you or Chief Womack to see, we need to look at the trends on the call volumes. Do we want to put it where the highest call volume is, obviously, whether that's in Dubach or Simsboro or Shoedrant. We don't know where all of the Ruston fire, they have that data, we don't. So I'd have to rely on Chief Womack to give me some numbers on, where the best place to put that would be. Does that answer? Yeah. Okay.
On your in-house, the 3.5 that you have, those are BLS or ALS?
They're mainly ALS. We do have a BLS truck. The reason that we have a BLS truck, and a lot of people bash the BLS trucks, not you, but everybody wants an ALS ambulance. The BLS unit is actually a really good tool, and a lot of bigger cities are going to it. It's called a tiered system. The problem you have when you have all ALS trucks is you're tying your ALS trucks and those paramedics up on non-emergency calls, taking somebody to dialysis or home from dialysis. You don't want to tie up an ALS truck on a BLS call. That's what we utilize that BLS truck for. We would, God forbid, if we had a cardiac arrest somewhere and we've got a paramedic on a dialysis call, we don't want that to happen. So that's why we do a tiered system like that.
What is a half truck?
That's a 12-hour truck. We have 24s and 12s, yeah.
That's because they do the transfers during the day.
Correct.
And they don't need that at night because they have the contract for all the transfers as well in Lincoln Parish.
Right, yeah. Most of the non-emergency calls from hospital to hospital or, where they happen during the day. So that half truck is a 12-hour truck. Yes, sir.
ALS trucks, you run 2 people. I understand you have some CPR equipment on each of those trucks?
Yes, sir.
Which actually takes the place of a person?
Correct.
Would you explain that to these folks?
Yeah, it's just a CPR machine. We call it a thumper. It just goes over the patient. It will do chest compressions for us while we're maintaining the IV, pushing drugs, anything like that. It's like having a second set of hands. Now, if we had a call where we felt like we needed a third set of hands, we would either call one of our ambulances to back us up. If we didn't have that ambulance, we would call Ruston Fire for that extra set of hands. If we had, a car accident on I-20 with multiple injuries, if we knew that we were going to have more than one patient and we needed more paramedics on one unit to care for one patient that may be, critical or a trauma patient, then we're going to do that. We're going to put that third person on the ambulance. We also have supervisors and a director of operations that are paramedics. They have sprint vehicles. They can sprint to these calls and get in the back of the ambulance. So we have a lot of different resources to make that happen. Any other questions? Okay, moving on. Number 9 just talks about our insurance limit. We've got the liability at $1 million. We also have a $5 million umbrella policy for the company. We would name the parish as additional insured on our liability policy. Number 10, PAFR will operate according to all state and federal regulations and requirements, including federal wage and hour laws, and PAFR will meet all parish requirements and policies for operation of emergency vehicles within Lincoln Parish and the state of Louisiana. All state and federal licenses and permits will be obtained as required. PAFR will furnish a medical director at its expense. We have a medical director. His name is Michael Seymour, Dr. Mike Seymour. He's been PAFR's medical director for, as long as I can remember, probably at least 25 years. So, Dr. White, do you know him?
He lives in Alabama?
Yes.
The gentleman there? I just know of him.
Yeah. We also have another medical director. His name is Dr. Kevin Ingram. He's in Louisiana, and he's down in our Natchez, Faraday, Vidalia, in that area. Number 11, all vehicles will meet or exceed all state and federal requirements now in effect or hereafter adopted. Number 12 talks about the subsidy, annual subsidy of $360,000 paid in monthly installments of $30,000 beginning January 1st of '23 and payable on the first day of each month or the next business day should the first day fall on a weekend or holiday. Any questions about the subsidy? Okay, number 13, Lincoln Parish Police Jury will provide housing for Pafford crew members and Pafford ambulance for the purpose of temporary posting of its ambulance and crew at available fire stations. All furniture and supplies will be provided by Pafford EMS. Sites may not be available at all times due to prior use and will be used for temporary posting only. So I think there was a misconception early on about this. We're not asking the police jury or the city or anybody in Lincoln Parish to build a station or furnish a station at their cost. We're just asking for temporary use of a station, like in Dubach or Simsbury, if you had a station that's not being used in the parish, just for our crews to go there, rest, kick their feet up, do their paperwork, but we want them to have a presence in the parish. We don't want to keep parish trucks in the city. I mean, we want those posted out in the parish. I mean, that's what we're all here for, so.
What does temporary use mean to you?
Temporary use would mean if, it's my understanding that some of these stations are used for polling places during the election. So if the fire department needed that for, that reason, that I would say that would be temporary. We're not moving anything in there, and, we have the understanding that things come up and we may have to post somewhere else.
But we're not talking about for a limited time while you build a facility somewhere.
Oh,
We're
no.
talking about you may be at the 167 North Fire Station one day, and you may be
Correct.
at another fire district substation another day.
Correct.
20-something stations around the parish, and it's a place that they can park a vehicle.
Right.
It's different than a grocery store parking lot or just.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that's a bad thing. I just want to make sure. Some people, when you say this is temporary, that means because I'm doing something more permanent.
Right.
But this is a permanent fix. It's just, you may be at different locations.
Correct.
Each day.
Correct. Number 14, Pafford agrees to participate with and respond to regional disaster plans. In the event of a large-scale disaster situation, Pafford will activate a special response team to respond in addition to requesting mutual aid from surrounding ambulance providers. This is a big deal at Pafford. We respond to a lot of disasters, natural disasters in particular. We go to a lot of hurricanes, tornadoes, things like that. FEMA calls us when everybody else is running in, we're running out, we're running in. Hurricane Katrina, perfect example. We went down there, we had 10 trucks. So we set up like a MASH unit. I wish I'd have brought a picture of that. We have a MASH unit that we set up it's impressive. I mean, it looks like an emergency room. So we're really big in the special response teams. Number 15, Pafford agrees to furnish standby coverage, if able, for mutually agreed upon special events, dedicated or non-dedicated, requested by the parish and fire, law enforcement, scenes, and training. Dedicated, we do dedicated events in Lincoln Parish. We may need to revise this, Lewis. Not real sure, but if we go stand by at a football game, if we're at that football game, we're at that football game. We don't pull them, and we don't charge for that. Louisiana Tech, we do furnish the ambulance at Louisiana Tech, but they do a lot of in-kind advertising and things like that for us. One of the things that we do that a lot of people probably don't know about, we put a paramedic at the starting of football season. We have a paramedic that is there at football practice during the heat of the day or all day, and we sit there and start IVs on these players to keep them hydrated, and we do that at our expense. We don't charge the parish, we don't charge the university. We sit there, we started 15 in one day a couple of weeks ago, so we want to make sure these players are healthy and they're not, suffering from heat exhaustion or, a result of heat stroke. So that's one of the things that we do at Tech. 16, Pafford will work closely with city, parish, and state law enforcement officers and healthcare facility and nursing home personnel, doctors, parish and county officials, etc., and will always strive to project a favorable image for Lincoln Parish, including vehicles, equipment, and personnel. I can tell you one thing about Greg Pafford. He's OCD, really, really bad, and if he has a dirty ambulance, somebody's going to hear about it. He's very in tune with having good equipment, good-looking trucks. That's the way he's always been. He really keeps up with his stuff. Right now, we're actually opening a remount shop in Greenwood, Mississippi, and we're about to start remounting our own ambulances. It's taken us too long, and the chassis are really hard to get right now, so we're going into the business, and it'll save us about $60,000 per ambulance that we remount. So we typically remount those when they get around 350,000 miles. That's when he typically likes to remount if we get the chassis. Number 17, Pafford EMS, in lieu of providing rescue services under the scope of this contract, will donate $50,000 to Lincoln Parish Fire District for extrication and rescue equipment, as those services are currently provided by the incumbent provider. Pafford will assist in training of fire district personnel. Pafford will also replenish medical supplies used by the district in performance of their rescue duties. What this means is, besides the $50,000, which is, we've always said we would donate that towards rescue tools. But if Parish Fire responds to an emergency and they use gloves, or they use a bag of normal saline, or IV catheters, or anything like that, bandages, whatever they use, we're going to replace at no charge. We're just going to take one off our ambulance right then and give it back to them. We're getting to charge.
$50,000, are you anticipating that to be an annual thing?
That's a one-time payment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think to keep this in the proper measurement, that perhaps it might be better worded to where that remuneration is not included as part of a contract condition.
Okay.
Such that if that's a $50,000 hit you're going to take, for example, then why don't you just offer your services for the first year for $310,000?
We can do that.
I'd rather keep fire district activities separate from this deliberation.
Okay. We don't have a problem with that.
And that's,
Chris Jones, is that?
now, the training we appreciate. I think this is a community where we share training efforts. The fire district, the fire department, LSU, there's always room for each of us to help train the others. And so, that component is good to have. I mean, that almost goes without saying.
Right.
And then replenishing medical supplies. I don't know if that's a hindrance or not, but
that's historically been pretty much the way it's operated. I know with Shoedrick between us and Pafford, and between us and the city of Ruston, sick collars or whatever is used on the patient, and they transfer, and then it's replenished back off of responding.
And I would look at it from the standpoint that you're replenishing supplies that you have expended.
Correct.
But instead, the fire district or the Ruston Fire Department, whoever it is, comes and provides assistance.
Right. And we're billing for that patient.
It's a restock type situation.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. All right. Number 18, Pafford will participate in internal QA and QI program findings as requested. We do that. We QA, QI all of our charts. We have a medical director that looks at our protocols. He looks at all the trauma. If we have a cardiac arrest, he QAs that to make sure the paramedic did everything he or she should have done and could have done. And then, we do coaching and counseling or additional training if needed, if we fell short on one of those calls. 19, Pafford will install an AT&T ring down button in Lincoln Parish 911 Center prior to the contract start date and agrees to bear all costs associated with the same. This is the way we've done it for 24 years, and the surrounding parish is just a ring-down line. The dispatcher stays on the phone, the Lincoln Parish dispatcher would stay on the phone while the call is being transferred and can actually hear the caller and our dispatcher talking with one another. If the call were dropped, the Lincoln Parish person would call them back, or we would call them back if the Lincoln Parish dispatcher has already dropped from the call. But typically, the dispatchers stay on the phone pretty much the whole time, don't they, Mike? Would you say?
They're going to stay on the phone until the point that the connection is made.
Right. The information's given and...
Right.
Okay.
Where are y'all in the process of becoming a secondary PSAP?
We have, so a private entity, in my understanding, we cannot have our own PSAP. We have to go through a governmental body. Rankin County, Mississippi is allowing us to piggyback off of them, and they're working on it now. We're kind of at AT&T's mercy, but after the first of the year, we should see something start to develop on that.
Would that put equipment in y'all's place in your dispatch center? You could also receive from other, or is that strictly would be limited to what Rankin County?
It's my understanding that if we piggyback and we have anti-alley capabilities, that would be everybody, not just between Rankin County and Pafford.
How many other parishes are y'all doing emergency service?
Seven.
All here in North Louisiana?
We have Concordia Parish down in Natchez, that Vidalia, Verity area, and then 6 here. And then we have 13 counties in Mississippi.
So what happens when someone from Duboc calls 911? Where's it gonna go?
It's gonna go to the Lincoln Parish.
It's gonna go to us.
And then
to the PSAP at the sheriff's office. Okay. And then if Pafford is the ambulance provider, that call is gonna be transferred to them. It will leave the 911 system at that point and be transferred to Pafford on a regular business phone line.
So the caller's not gonna have to call Pafford straight? They can be push a button and transfer.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Because I personally had a call last year, called 911, and indicated as soon as they answered the phone that the party wanted to go to Bernice Hospital. And they said, well, you need to call Pafford, and they gave me a phone number, which I had to then turn around again and call another number to get an ambulance.
If Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, if a Ruston ambulance responds and they pick someone up, they're going to Northern Louisiana Medical Center.
Yeah,
that depends on the patient. Again, a lot of these questions, how do I say this in a proper way? A lot of agencies respond in the same way. So if the patient would learn, the patient needs to go, if the patient's having a stroke and that is not available, then see, we're going to transport that patient to Monroe and Shreveport also. So we're talking in circles here. I wish the board had more questions, to be honest. I was hoping I was going to get more, but I didn't. But to answer your question, you will call 911. They will roll that call to us. If that patient needs to go to a higher facility, that's where we will take them directly, or anybody is. But we do not go outside the parish just because somebody chooses to. That is not us. So that's why normally we respond though, and then we will sit on scene until the agency that's going to transport that patient comes. So somebody chose to call direct. I don't know what number you called. I'll probably get with Seamus though and make sure you have that proper number.
I just want to make sure if someone, because people in Duboc like to go to Bernice, especially the elderly, especially if it's not, something major like a heart issue or something. This particular instance, she fell and cut her head and was going to need stitches. And she was elderly, so we couldn't just put her in the car, so we needed an ambulance to take her. But she didn't want to go to Ruston. She wanted to go to Bernice, because Ruston sometimes, no offense, but they take forever, okay? So, but I was told, no, Ruston doesn't do it, which is correct, and you need to call this number. And I had to turn around and call. I just want to be able to tell my constituents that if they want to go to Bernice, they got to call a specific number, or they call 911 and tell them they want to go to Bernice.
And currently, there is no ring down line directly to Pafford.
Right.
Ruston Fire Department is the emergency medical provider, and they are the only ring down that we have. In the case that you're talking about, had we had a ring down established, we could have transferred that 911 call, but we don't have that capability currently.
So in the future, if we go with Pafford, then they will have that ability to call 911, and they're going to get an ambulance no matter where they're going?
They're going to be, if Pafford is adopted by the police jury, we would send that call to Pafford.
We can transport to any hospital. The reason that Ruston Fire, and Chief Womack, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last thing you want to do is have a patient that wants to go to LSU in Shreveport, and Ruston Fire takes them over there in their ambulance. That takes them away from their fire service, and for hours at a time. We do that every day, and we're equipped to do that and have the resources. Chief Womack doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't want my fire service to go sit on the wall for 3 hours at LSU, and then we have a big house fire, or we've got emergencies in the city that we don't have people to send now because we've got 3 paramedics at LSU. Am I right?
Yeah, it's
Chief?
correct. We are here strictly for emergency services, so we do not take patients to their shooting because we need to get back in service. And now, the goal of us and Pafford is to get that patient, and the goal of the alarm system is to get that patient to the proper facility. The worst thing we want to do, and Dr. White can expound this, is to take that patient somewhere and they sit for 2 hours when they really need to be somewhere else. So that's the goal for everyone in the emergency service.
Ms. Mona, that person, there's a difference in an ambulance transfer somewhere and a 911 call. That patient needed a ride to where they wanted to go, and if they want to go to Bernice, that's fine. But when they call 911, they are geared to if they fell and hit their head, that could potentially be a neurological emergency. So that's where Pafford has the $60 you pay. You call Pafford and say, I need to go somewhere. But you're at the mercy of the educated people that come and pick you up, whether it's Pafford, Ruston Fire, of where's the best place to go. And that's really just explaining that to patients. Because believe me, I'm in the ER and you're looking at them, they're like, I did not want to come here. Well, unfortunately, you take the time to explain to them why they did come here or why they couldn't be, because they think that the ambulance is being mean or, they're taking you to where the best place was. So that's a difference. That's not a 911. I mean, they're using 911 to use the ambulance service to get to where they needed to go. But that happens, it happens very often. It does, unfortunately.
Well, they also got a bill after the fact because they're on Medicare, and they stressed over it because they could not pay it, but I think they're making payments on it, even though I told them, don't pay it. I heard they're not going to come after you. They still feel obligated.
They feel obligated.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that will be the purpose of the membership drive. That's crucial. And just with all this that's going on the last couple of months, our office has been flooded with people buying memberships, just in anticipation of what might happen. So, it's not a bad thing. Even if it's great to have a membership, even if Pafford doesn't get the contract. Like Dr. White said, Ruston Fire takes somebody to the ER at Lincoln General, and then Dr. White has to transfer them to LSU. You call Pafford, you got a membership. I mean, it's good in any parish.
Yeah, we need to emphasize that because Ruston doesn't have a membership, but they don't do the transfers. So if you have to be transferred, you need a membership, no matter who's doing the emergency.
Correct.
Because I went through the same situation with my wife. You go to Lincoln General or here, and then you got to go to LSU.
Yeah.
Well, we had a membership, but everybody needs that membership for the transfer purposes, no matter who. It's a good insurance, $60.
Yeah.
I got a 911 question. When someone calls 911, obviously that call is recorded, right? All right, let's say Pafford has their ring down line. Once you connect that 911 caller to Pafford and you're out, is that call still recorded?
Yes, every line is recorded.
And kept?
And kept.
Okay.
If I call somebody in dispatch and ask them where they're going to lunch today, it's recorded.
Okay.
Everything is recorded.
Do you mind if he explains what this ring down, because I think a lot of people don't understand of what we have now, and is it going to change with Pafford? Is it going to the same with the fire? Because is it an extra, when someone makes a phone call and their loved one is dying or choking, and they explain it all, do they have to repeat it, or is the operator going to repeat it, or, because my understanding, and I may be wrong, is that it's going to be an extra step with Pafford. Is that not right than what our 911 is now? Because nobody's going to stay on the line and want to repeat a story. And we're not going to lose them if they say it. I mean, when that happens, what do? You tell the stuff, you tell them where you are, and you hang up and you go run, help your person. So can you explain that? Because in our minutes, we don't have what he found in the 911 system. Or I couldn't find it.
I think what you're referring to is the Annie Alley, which Lewis and I have basically, or briefly, talked about this item 19, and 911 Communication District had put together some bullet point items that we thought needed to be in the contract. What we learned in the process after that is that Pafford does not have capability of receiving Annie Alley, which is simply the number and the location of where that call is being made. And you are very correct. Very often, someone that is in a true emergency with a heart attack, a wreck, for instance, that person makes that 911 call, and that alley information is critical to be able to know where that person actually is, that location information, whether they can tell you or whether they can't. Pafford is not going to have the ability, their dispatch center is not going to have that ability.
Yet? Are they going to be able to
We're
get it?
going to get that. We're moving in that direction.
As of right now, they don't have that, okay.
Which brings me to let me do a little sidebar question here real quick or I'll forget it, which means if this is a one-year contract, but it's going to have an extension on it, should that language not be added into this so when we extend the contract, we don't have to renegotiate item number 19?
If it doesn't say, it should say if it's extended, it's under the same terms and conditions.
Then I think we need to get that language in there.
Put the Annie Alley in the second year after the first year is what you say.
Put that language in
After the first year, is that what you
under
say?
19?
Yeah.
Okay. And I had it in, I was told you were okay with taking it out. Yeah, we certainly put it
Well,
back in.
it's because
he's saying
when
after
your
the first
contract,
year.
they're not going to complete, just realistically, they're not going to complete the process in 1 year. It's virtually impossible for them to do that.
To engineer, to negotiate, engineer, and make the installation connections for that information is probably going to take 6 months to a year if it can be accomplished. Handing the call to Pafford at this point is pulling it out of the 911 system and putting it in a commercial phone line to them. Currently, ours has got dedicated hard connections between the primary answering points that transfer the Annie Alley information. And setting whatever that's not a dial-up like an internet connection that would then send that information to him, but it would be a dedicated connection to their system that sent him that Annie Alley information. And getting AT&T to engineer that and install that takes quite a bit of time.
They're already working on it, so I understand.
Correct.
They're not responsible to get.
On them putting their equipment, not the engineering of the line.
Mr. It takes over a year, once they get to the point that Rankin County says, okay, we're gonna put our arm around you, and we're gonna let you be a secondary PSAP, you're looking at a year from that point at least until they can get completion to where they can receive any alley information.
And that would be from Rankin County to their dispatch center.
Yeah, technically, the call then would route, and this would all be in microseconds behind the scene. The call would route from our PSAP here in Lincoln Parish to the Rankin County master or primary PSAP, and then to the secondary PSAP, which would be Pafford. Now, granted, all of that happens literally that quick, but that anti-alley information can be critical in a call, particularly a wreck, someone in a heart attack situation where they're putting the phone down to give CPR. It's just, I think that language needs to be in there, at least for subsequent year contracts, if the parish chooses to go with Pafford.
I'll do it.
Let me go ahead and ask you, is anti-alley an acronym? Is that one word? Is that two words?
Anti-alley is an acronym.
What does it stand for?
ANI/ALI.
What does that stand for?
That's automated number. I don't have to go look.
Identification. Automated number identification.
N is a number and is the L location?
The L is location.
The L is an electronic push pin on a map that has a physical address.
Okay.
The ANI is the caller's information and a piece under that identifies who her emergency service providers would be.
So I have a question about Lincoln Parish Dispatch. If your dispatcher takes a 911 call, do you have EMD dispatchers, emergency medical dispatch? If somebody were in cardiac arrest and needed instructions on CPR?
CPRT.
Okay, so if somebody so your dispatchers can have EMD cards and they're flipping through?
You're talking about the full-blown 40-hour course.
Correct.
Cards. No, they are not.
Okay. I guess my question is, if somebody needed assistance that one of your dispatchers couldn't give them, when you roll it to the fire department, does the fire department get on the line and do they give self-help instructions for bleeding, anything like that? I don't know how that works with Lincoln.
That goes to the other PSAP when we transfer that call, and I think they do, but I don't know for certain.
The reason I asked that is because Dr. White alluded to, hey, is this going to add another step? Doesn't that add another step? I'm not being facetious here. I'm just saying that that happens.
No, it needs to be brought up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, you're going to have to make a second call anyway. Our dispatchers are EMD, by law, they have this big rack of cards. Even if you've got a paramedic sitting in dispatch, that paramedic has to, even though he or she knows what to do and can say, hey, you got to do this, they legally they have to flip to that card on cardiac arrest or flip to, pregnancy, whatever, and they have to go line by line so that we're covered by law in case something goes wrong. The dispatcher can say, look, I gave them these instructions according to EMD guidelines, and so you would have to make that second call anyway.
Well, and you're right, if that person's still on the line and
Correct.
If that's needed, that is a step. It's done. But our dispatchers are trained, I'm not exactly sure what, because we hear them on the dispatch in the ER of what they're telling sometimes to the patient. So I don't know if they're using your cards or what our cards of our dispatchers are. Do you know, can you allude to that?
Telephone CPR. They are not fully EMD at this time.
Okay, so this is way above me. So I'm just trying to understand this. After they get anti-alley and someone calls in, how are you gonna know if it's a City of Ruston person that we need to call City of Ruston? Or if it's a parish and we need to call Pafford?
That's part of that anti-alley data.
It automatically
when it
determines
comes in, it
even-
immediately tells you, it pops up on the screen, who the fire provider is, who the ambulance provider is, their telephone company, their number, their location, what part of the parish. Yes, sir.
What about a cell phone?
Cell phone, that's, that's a little different. And truthfully, last statistics that we looked at on the communication district, 60-something% of the phones now are cell phone. So chances
it doesn't work on cell phone, is that what you're saying?
No,
Yes,
it
sir,
does work. It works well, but it's different
technology.
with a landline phone. There is an established GPS point of where what house that's connected to.
I understand that.
With a cell phone.
That system is not perfect either. But
No, it's not.
Because it's had some problems.
And with a cell phone, you're using some information, two systems out there to establish the crosshairs of where it's sitting. And they have the ability to refresh. For example, if I'm driving down the interstate and talking, it can be refreshed and that point of where I'm located shows up on the map.
But no, my question is, most people have cell phone at their house nowadays. So does it give you the address? It doesn't.
It will be, if the call originates on a cell phone, then it's going to be a set of crosshairs on the map as such.
It's not going to be an address because it's a flat long.
And it won't have the provider either.
It will have the phone company provider, AT&T.
No, I'm talking about whether it's in the city or out of the city.
Yes.
Yes, it will.
Based on,
Now-
and the way, and correct me if I'm wrong, you originate that call. If I made that call sitting here, the anti-alley information will direct that call not to the parish, but to the city dispatch because of the location of my call. If I moved outside of the city limits to make that call, it would send it to the sheriff's office rather than to the city. If I'm right on the line, I may get either one of them.
I thought it depended on what tower you were hitting.
Well, it does. Whichever tower you're hitting that actually connects to make the phone call, that tower's going to have 3 sectors. Which sector you hit, everything that comes in on that sector could be pre-programmed to come to the sheriff's office or to the police department, either one. If you're right on that borderline of the city or the parish, you can make a call and hit a particular sector that sends it to the city when you're actually in the parish, or vice versa.
Or to another parish.
But therein comes the anti-alley information and how important that is sometimes, because wherever you are, we can look at the map and we can see exactly.
My point is, none of those systems are perfect.
None of them are perfect. Nothing is perfect.
I think Dr. White's initial question is the nature of the call repeated to both dispatchers. Like she said, it's my choking us, you have to repeat it to both dispatchers. I think that was the initial question that she was asking.
And in the event that we got a call and it was, we're transferring it down there, we're gonna have, if we have anti-alley information, we're not gonna queue, we're gonna immediately transfer it when they're either gonna say, I need an ambulance, or somebody's here choking. And at that point, a couple seconds later, that dispatch center is gonna answer it. We're gonna stay on the line. If nobody's there, we're gonna, well, they said they were choking. We're gonna provide what we heard, but we're not gonna quiz that person as to, okay, well, who's choking? How old is it? A child? Is it an adult? We're gonna immediately transfer that.
Yeah, there's very little delay. Very little.
And so is there any cost in any of this? Because that's also something we've not yet addressed from a committee. So transferring any of this, doing this, there's no cost, because at one time, there was a cost somewhere in any of this.
Well, it's
They're gonna
like
have a
a ring
major
down.
cost to get set up as a PSAP.
Hafford will.
Yes, as a PSAP.
It will not cost the
No.
police jury or
It is my understanding at this point, 911 Communication District has a maintenance contract for our 911 service and software. And it is my understanding at this point that AT&T is going to can't say build, set up the ring down line as far as our expense under our maintenance agreement. Now, that's not 100% because the guy's slapping against it, but I haven't gotten an absolute response, but that is his initial.
Good.
What are the odds that you will or won't be able to find me? I'm laying on the ground and I've dialed 911.
Find you alive or find you dead? They'll find you. We want to find people within those first couple of
Just
minutes.
before I start stinking, really. I'm not talking
Well,
about the alley, I'm
your
talking about
phone.
today. What are the odds you're gonna be able to find me?
I mean, very few times.
They're gonna find you, it's just how long.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah, we're gonna find you. I mean, if we get good information on the phone call, if they transfer the call and they've gotten good information and they give us the right address and all that, we're gonna find you. I mean, well, our response times to date are under 13 minutes in the parish. It's pretty good for all the calls, and we've run hundreds of calls backing up Ruston Fire, and it's a pretty good response time. We're gonna find you, unless you give bad information or can't talk or, whatever.
That's the caveat that we don't have to do right now. We don't necessarily, with Annie Alley, we don't necessarily have to ask that information. We can immediately transfer that call, where our dispatchers now, if we go with Pafford, we're gonna have to get some base information before we transfer that call. So if that call is lost, leaving the 911 system, going into the regular business phone system, that we have at least some very basic information to pass on to them.
But their dispatcher will be on the line with our dispatcher to make sure that the connection's made, the information has been passed on. I mean, it's not like they're just hitting a ring down line and then hanging up. I mean, their dispatcher's communicating with ours.
And I'm not clear on that. You said that, but I thought you said once the connection's made, y'all are out of it.
Well, and once we know that they have what information we have,
okay.
If we've collected an address of where they are and someone's choking, something basic, once they're on the line and that information has been relayed to them, we will disconnect.
Okay, but you're going to stay there while the information you know is relayed.
Yeah, there's no longer a purpose for us to.
Yeah, they're not just pushing the button and then hanging up. I mean, they're staying on the call and we're communicating and relaying information.
Well, earlier it was said when the connection's made, 911's out of it. But yeah, that's not.
No, after the information's relayed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that maybe to help clarify, when the sheriff's office has received that and it's a request for an ambulance, they hand it off to Ruston's dispatch. Ruston's PSAP console has everything that they've had other than that, whatever that first initial verbal communication was. And so they can bail out because that's sitting there in front of the screen.
So if I call 911, it goes to you. In the parish?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've got Annie Alley.
Landline or cell phone?
Cell phone. Yep,
Okay.
cell phone. Landlines are out of the picture. So I call on my cell phone, 911. You've got Annie Alley, right? So you know where I am and who I am.
Well, I know your number and where you are.
The vicinity of where you are. So typically, when I call 911 and you answer the call, you know where I am. Okay. So then you tell him where I am, or you tell Ruston where I am.
If they need that information, yes, we will.
Well, if they're gonna find me, they need it.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna stay on there long enough to see if you say, hey, I'm at the fire station on 167, or, is it a silent line? And then at that point.
Backyard underneath the cabana.
But
Better give them a fake name, because they probably won't come.
And look, it's the most important information we need, obviously, but it also helps us. I mean, even if we don't know where you are, if we have the vicinity of where you are, we're heading a truck that way. And hopefully, before we get there, we're gonna know where you are. But, knowing the location, I mean, if they give us the exact location, it helps us to know which truck we're gonna send. We're sending the closest unit, so that is the most important
I'd
piece.
like to point out a couple of things. First off, you're discussing pure EMS calls. If it's a call that involves EMS and another service, for example, the need of law enforcement because it was a shooting, or a major fire, so you need the fire department, your dispatchers are going to be up in the middle of that call for the duration of that call. In other words, you're going to be dispatching law, you're going to be dispatching fire, and you're going to be monitoring that call and have your hand in it the whole time. So it's just not just like they get a call and say, send the ambulance there, and boom, it's gone.
We also have 700 radios. We can talk to all the agencies. We can monitor the channels, talk to them. If we need to call the sheriff's department, we key up and we talk. To my knowledge.
That's right.
I mean,
You have the ability to do that.
That's our capability. And we do it.
All right, move on.
So, okay. 2020, Powerful report contract compliance quarterly with a verifiable audit trail and summarized yearly to the Lincoln Parish Police Jury. Additionally, Powerful will provide quarterly reports to the Police Jury, which shall include information on the number of runs, response times, call type analysis, complaint record, resolution, and special activities. So Powerful's going to be always totally transparent. We're going to let you know how many calls we ran in the parish, what our response times are. If we have any complaints, we're going to let you know about it, and we're going to let you know how we resolve that complaint. Any questions on that? 21, any complaints received will be referred to the Director of Operations at Pafford EMS. Efforts will be made to address these complaints within 10 business days. Complaints shall be dealt with in an immediate manner. Pafford will cooperate with established processes and help create additional process to participate in medical audits and complaint investigations. So we will address all complaints within 10 business days. We usually do it within at least 24 to 48 hours now. 22, Pafford will be solely and exclusively responsible for all bills, accounts, notes incurred by the ambulance service, and Pafford will indemnify and hold harmless the parish any and all debts, liabilities, or obligations incurred by Pafford. 23, indemnity. Just saying that we're going to hold the parish harmless for anything that we do. 24, force majeure, neither party shall be liable to the other party nor be deemed to have defaulted under or breached this agreement for any failure or delay in fulfilling or performing any term of this agreement, except for obligations to make payments to the other party hereunder, when and to the extent such failure or delay is caused by or results from acts beyond the impacted party's control, including but not limited to the following. And there's a list of all the things that, if that happens, we don't want to be held liable. The impacted party shall give notice within 15 days to the other party, stating the period of time the occurrence is expected to continue. The impacted party shall use diligent efforts to end the failure or delay and ensure the effects of such force majeure event are minimized. Number 25, this is a line item that our attorney wants to talk to Mr. Jones about. We had initially deleted this, but he wanted to restore this. It talks about just the language of terminating the contract.
And just so you're all aware, I can tell you my concern is it says either the proposed language that was in there that we took out that we're now talking about putting back in is that either party can terminate it for cause at any time. What is for cause is my question and my concern. They may think for cause is we just don't want to do it anymore. Well, that doesn't sound like cause for the jury, I wouldn't think, but if the language is in there, I think it needs to specify what is cause. Yeah, so that's been my concern from the day one with this provision, but we'll still try to come up with some agreement, but you may hear me bring up again, and that's my concern.
Okay, number 26, nothing in this agreement expressed or implied is intended to confer upon any person or entity other than Lincoln Parish and Pafford and the respective successors and assigns of such any rights, remedies, obligations, or legal liabilities whatsoever. 27, if any term or provision of this agreement are to any extent invalid, illegal, or unenforceable in any respect, such term or provision shall be excluded to the extent of such invalidity, illegality, or unenforceability. All other provisions hereof shall remain in force and effect. 28, agreement may not be assigned by Pafford without the express written consent of the police jury. 29, agreement shall be governed by the laws of the state of Louisiana, and venue and jurisdiction for any action construing the terms of this agreement shall lie in Lincoln Parish, Louisiana. Any other questions or comments?
Any other questions from members of the committee at this time? Thank you, Shane.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We have proposals, and they're from the city of Ruston and from Pafford. They are still draft agreements. They have not been vetted or worked out by attorneys. I will ask our attorney, who has done us a good job here, among other things, to see if he can work through all these as quick as he can and give us his opinion if he finds any bugs or anything. And hopefully we can wrap this down and bring it to a close as quick as we can.
Are we expecting the fire district numbers to come to us in any form other than what they already have? I don't know if that's a question for you or Mr. Hyde.
I would ask Mr. Hyde that question.
I don't know what form you have in them.
We have the budget. That's what was given to us. I was going to ask, where's our proposal from the fire district so that we can compare all three? That was your question, or is this the proposal? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that's the reason behind my question, yes. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, we've heard numbers, we've seen some broken out by administrative and equipment, and at the bottom there was something else for a vehicle. It's hard for me to make a recommendation if the police jury asks me for it, if I don't have numbers, firm numbers to compare. I mean, we know Pafford's number, we know the city's number, and I'm just wondering, are y'all going to give us something in writing that'll just say, either this is the number for year 1, 2, 3, or it will be up to this number but won't exceed it? We're going to get anything clearer than we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
That breakdown that showed an annual operating cost, equipment cost, and truck cost, that's the number we're looking at right now. And you should have that number. Now.
We should have it, and I asked it be sent out at the last meeting, and it's on the minutes. Did everybody get a copy of it?
I didn't get it.
I did not either. Charlie has the copy of it. Do you have it?
I have a second-hand one that came to me. I have not gotten it.
Well, I happen to have 10 copies, so I'll be happy to. Because I didn't think everybody got a copy. I got an email, and it was only sent to me, so I just wanted to. And it's just fairness. I'm not trying to. We have to have three entities to be able to compare. And so I didn't know if this was official or not, but I've not gotten anything else, and I didn't see an email.
I do have a question for Mr. I.E. Lewis just keyed up on something. If we made an agreement, would this be an up-to number, a projected budget, and we could say up to this amount? Because it's my understanding that as far as the jury goes, is that in having to finance this, that all of a sudden, the fire district is also, it looks like, getting a bunch of equipment, or has the possibility of receiving equipment through grants and donations. So how would that play into the MOU and the budget?
Do you have this already?
That was sent to me from Mr. Charlie.
Yeah.
Well, what else do you want?
Oh, that's going to her.
Oh.
We just wanted to know if that is your official proposal, just like we just got these two proposals from them, is that your official?
Well, it's my understanding that next week, we're gonna sit down in the grilling chair, just like these guys did, and make a proposal.
Well, we didn't know that. Nobody's told us. Like,
Well, I wasn't aware of it either till,
why didn't we do it all at one meeting? Why are we waiting yet
I'm
another
not
week?
running the meeting. Mr. Charlie has his ideas, and I agree with whatever he comes up with, and that's fine. Now, but the basic statement is, January 1st, when we get a call, we're gonna show up.
And we have no doubt in that, but we still need we need something to compare with the others.
You got it, you're looking at it. What more do you want?
Well, but Dr. White, I don't mean to cut you off if you were fixing to
No, I'm not gonna
get back in.
comment.
Like this thing we've just got. All right, for year one, it looks to me like it's $477,500 plus $140,300. Is that right?
For year one.
Okay. Now, at the bottom, this $500,000, where does that come in? What year does that come in?
That comes in whenever we can work on getting a truck.
But when are you going to expect the police jury to cough up that $500,000?
I didn't say we were gonna expect them to.
So you're willing to do it for year one for $477,500 plus $140,300 and leave it at that?
Well, not necessarily. The 143, we're ordering equipment now. Chief, how much equipment have we ordered?
First year's number is down to about $40,000 at this point.
Because we've gotten grants and such?
We were pursuing grants, we've ordered some stuff, the fire district has approved the purchase of some equipment, so we've knocked that number down. It's my understanding we'll have a written proposal ready for the next meeting.
Yes.
Now, can you just put it in
already
a form
take year
where there's...
one and knock $100,000 off of it?
Yeah, so you would want to put in a new one as opposed to the one we have.
Right, but can you put it in a form where it's year one, this much, year two, this much?
As of right now, you're looking at it. And
I
you
don't
have it.
understand it, and I've just seen it just now. And
You don't understand?
Except you're
I mean, because you got a 5% contingency on year one, which makes it 502. So do you take that 502 and year two, you add 212 to it?
Yeah.
So it's 700,000. And then year three, it's gonna be 500 plus 87?
Well, and that depends, like this number right here was $140,000 plus the $477,000. Now, already, take $100,000 off of it, because we're getting that equipment through grants.
Mr. Charlie, could you explain why they didn't do it today? Like, what was the reasoning for yet another week of this?
Because I was told it would not be available this week.
Okay. Are we gonna be able to vote at the end of next week after that, or do we need to take another week to?
That depends upon a couple of things.
What is that?
Yeah, we like the per diem we're getting for all this. No, seriously, one thing you have to do, and I've learned, is it all has to be gone, filtered through the lawyers. I mean, he can give us a proposal next week.
But the lawyers are gonna change on the voting of this. Are we not allowed to vote on it until Lewis approves it?
No, that's certainly not true.
Okay.
It depends on how the agenda is worded. I mean, today's agenda said to receive and discuss a proposal. If it said receive and discuss a proposal and take action if necessary, yes, somebody could make a motion today to recommend something to the jury. As long as it's on the agenda, yes, you can make a motion, anybody can, next week or week after, whatever it is. It's just got to be on the agenda.
I don't have a problem with that.
Can we put it on the agenda for next week, or when our next, and it only will say if, as you said, the way you worded it. And we could vote to not do it that week, but
right.
It's the middle of September.
I like that thought. Take action.
Well, that's what I said in my email
She
last
did.
week, and it didn't,
And no-
nothing became.
Well, we had nothing else to take action on at that point.
But if we'd have had it on here, we could have done something, or we could have tabled it.
I think
Well-
one good place we're at right now, ours is going to go to the police jury as a recommendation. And so what's the next police jury meeting date?
October
What?
October 11th.
October 11th. It is imperative we have sufficient time ahead of that meeting date to make that recommendation, to not drag this out. And that would need to be at very least, I think the law requires 48 hours, whatever time frame they create the agenda. We need to have that recommendation on their plate for them to consider.
Mr. Sampson, I'll just note that that's the next regularly scheduled police jury meeting. We can't have a special meeting if it's called.
Okay, all right, good.
Well, any other business to bring before the committee right now?
The next meeting?
Next meeting date.
Wait a minute.
Little,
I sat quiet for months now. We'll keep talking. This is all well and good, whether we go city or we go the other route. We gotta finance this somehow. And every meeting we get, nothing to comment on, nothing to comment on. Somebody's gotta be working on this. Who's working on it? And what are they doing? And are they getting told no, or this won't work? Or, I mean, we don't know that part yet.
That's something the jury's got to work on, I would say. And we'll be glad to.
What jury?
The Lincoln Parish Police Jury.
So they're gonna decide on how we're gonna pay for this?
I didn't say
I thought that was our committee job.
This committee can't really.
It was being, ours would be a
Making
recommendation.
recommendations. Huh?
Ours from this committee would be a recommendation to the jury.
And your recommendation may be
to look at a
go with Ruston, City of Ruston.
Yes, but
And
we
then-
gotta say how to pay for it.
You don't have to, no. You can recommend, go with City of Ruston, and police jury, you decide how to pay for it.
So why did we have a finance subcommittee? Were we asked for the police jury to figure out how to help them, how to pay for it, or that was not, we were only asked to give them a recommendation? Because we had at one time finance.
Oh, yes.
On here.
You asking me or Mr. Edwards?
I don't know,
I'll put it on there.
I wasn't here at the first couple meetings, so did the police jury, Mr. Durrett, did they want us to come up with a plan for them? Because I
If
don't,
the police jury decided that.
okay.
Then
You
why
wanna
were
come
we
in?
trying to reach out to Energy and Claiborne and all them to try to get something?
Well, yeah.
Are you asking?
If we're
Well,
not trying to
she's
do that.
asking about energy and Claiborne and all that. Would you explain? The
Well, I think
jury has
explained
research.
that Claiborne was willing to do that, and Energy is not willing to do that, so that was off the table.
But the
If you're
point-
asking me about the financing, my understanding was that was the original intent of this committee,
That's
was
right.
to decide about how we were gonna finance the Ruston Fire Ambulance Service.
Uh-huh.
That was the original intent of the committee, in my understanding.
And if I can just say what my understanding was, at that point, the first meeting, the only player was the City of Ruston. As I recall, my understanding at that point was Pafford was not interested, neither was Acadian. So the only question was, how are we going to pay for the service? So the first couple of meetings when I was in charge of leading them, that's what we were talking about because that's all we had. And it's changed since then, but the directive when the committee was created was just to form an ambulance service committee. So that's the directive, so. If you want to try to figure out financing, I think you certainly have that authority to make a recommendation.
You can talk about it or make recommendations.
Ultimately, the police jury will have to decide how to pay for it. And if the ultimate motion is, I move that we go with the city and finance it by doing this, the police jury can either accept all of it, they can just accept the part that recommends the city and leave out the financing part. So ultimately, the police jury will decide how to pay for it, but you can recommend something or not. I hope that was helpful.
That was very helpful. I didn't know that.
Okay, let's set a meeting date. We do have the interest, we need to push things along as much as we can. How about Friday, the 23rd?
Can we not do next Thursday like we've been doing these Thursday mornings at 9?
I don't object to a Thursday meeting, I was just thinking it would give us a little bit longer time to get things done in
I
the
think
week.
we need to get it done now.
If you want me here Thursdays, I can't be here Friday.
Okay.
If you want me here.
We need you here.
Oh, definitely.
No Friday.
Okay, how about Thursday?
Lovely.
This room is available on that day.
Thursday morning?
Yes, sir.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
And we will have on the agenda to bring the fire district proposal and to vote, however you said it.
Well, what I'm gonna, no,
Will that
not
be
to
on our
vote,
agenda?
to take action if
To
necessary.
take action if necessary. Thank you.
And I'll get with Mr. Edwards. My thoughts are, yes, there'll be an item to receive and discuss a proposal from the fire district. I'd like a separate item just to discuss all of the proposals and take action if necessary.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's where I'd like to go. Okay, any other business? The next thing we did, we added a public comment category at this point of the game. Do we have any public that wants to comment now?
Yes, sir. We started this process in March, and where are we at today? Same place. It's unacceptable. The room was full Tuesday night because this action was started with this process. This room was full. People are fed up, and I would admonish one time not to speak for the fire district I won't, but for the fire department and the city, I am fed up. And as a citizen of the parish, I'm fed up. Something needs to be done. You should have asked more questions a while ago. Everybody, I think, sitting here knows where this board stands today. You could have voted today. I think we all know where everybody's at. But do your job, ask appropriate questions. If you want me, you get me 24 hours a day. You want Chief Reynolds, you get me 24 hours a day. You want Shane, you get me 24 hours a day. Ask the questions, ask the hard questions, want the facts, and then come back and make a decision. Let's get this settled. Period. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. At that point,
I have a comment.
yes, sir.
If it ain't broke, if it ain't fixing, don't broke it, or if it's not broken,
Sir,
don't fix it.
would you come up here where the recording devices are?
Please state your name.
My name is Bob Woody. The system we have for fire and EMS in this parish is awesome. I don't know why we're having this problem. I understand a major issue is how to pay for this. Wish I could tell you how. The fire department is the best, their EMS service is the best, the parish fire department is the best. What's the problem? Other than money. The system we have is fine, leave it alone. Thank you.
Any other comments? Meeting adjourned.
Will you send me that? I will, because
Thank you for your help. Yes, sir. Dr. White.
Way back, I heard that name back when me and you were kids.
He's an old man then.
No, what did
Sunday morning?
he was in here, yeah, but he was.
I don't think so. No, you may be thinking of somebody that can't away decades ago. A Wee or a Wooly or something.
I know he wasn't, but I think he's expressing
The reason we didn't set on the first meeting now, if he didn't get his call. That's my feeling.
I always treat people better than I
Just like the other night. Making statements about crickets and all this kind of stuff. That doesn't have to speak to the town unless you have something that's relevant to the situation. We might ought to move on.
So how do you really feel?